Well, there's Philip.
Better late than never. isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry about this. I had real estate there along with us and talking, wasn't paying any attention. Sorry.
That's fine. Gene has called us to order and has approved the minutes. So
Okay,
we're in
great.
good shape.
Exactly right.
Good. Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Good.
And you're ready for article number 3.
Yeah, three.
Turning the anatomy of a subdivision.
Item number 3, okay. The autonomy of the subdivision plat.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do tonight is we're just gonna take a look. How many of you really know what you're looking at when I place one of these subdivision plats in front of you? And you don't have to answer, but, I mean, you know, I know that we have a new member, or a newer member, and then we've got a brand new code enforcement officer. So this training is as much for Christian as it is for you guys, but what we're gonna do is we're just gonna, I'm gonna show you what's on the plat, tell you exactly what everything is, and go through the process of what somebody has to go through if they want to change their boundary lines in the city of Livingston. So obviously, if you have any questions along the way, just let me know, and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing, if you want to divide property in town of Livingston, first thing you need to do is come talk to the code enforcement officer. Let them know what your plan is. After you tell the code enforcement officer your plan, the first thing that the code enforcement officer needs to do is determine whether or not we have jurisdiction. Livingston is a municipal planning commission, and jurisdiction will be determined by two things. And it'll be determined by location, where it is, and the size of the plat, and the size of the property. So Livingston being a municipal planning commission, its boundary, its jurisdiction as far as location is pretty simple. Anything located inside the city limits. We do not have jurisdiction in unincorporated Overton County. So it's pretty simple with us. We just look on corporate limits map, and it's located in there. Part 1 of the jurisdiction, check mark. Second thing we have to determine is the size of the finished product. And the state of Tennessee states that any movement of property lines in which the end result is less than 5 acres, you must get approval from the local planning commission if one exists, and of course we have one. So if you divide property, combine property, or move a lot line of 2 or more existing pieces of property, you are and the end result is less than 5 acres, then you are subject to the jurisdiction of the planning commission, the Livingston Municipal Planning Commission. If you have 2 lots and they're both 5 acres, and you move a boundary line, and one is 6 acres and one is 4 acres, the 4 acres we review, 6 acres we do not. It's all about what the finished product is on that. So we determine jurisdiction, and if both of those things come back, you know, if it's located in Livingston and it's less than 5 acres, Municipal Planning Commission has jurisdiction. So the next thing that the code enforcement officer will tell the citizen to do is go get in touch with the surveyor and have them put it on a subdivision plat. And this is what you're looking at here. A subdivision plat is simply a drawing of a parcel. And that's simply what it is. And anything that pertains to that parcel will be on the subdivision plat. The next thing that the code enforcement officer will do, or you know, when he receives the plat, is he'll consult our zoning ordinance. And what the zoning ordinance will tell him, in this case, when it comes to the division of property, we're only looking for lot requirements. Use has no bearing on the division of property, with the exception of very few exceptions, like if you're doing a cemetery or a church or things that we have special provisions on. But in most cases, use will not be a factor here. It's only lot size, setback lines, and things of that nature, only the lot requirements. So,
What about water and gas?
water, the infrastructure is important, and it is listed, you know, as one of the requirements, but that's not one of the first things that you're gonna look at. You're gonna determine the basics.
Excuse me, Tommy, has the
Yes.
city of Livingston historically done a good job of enforcing that jurisdiction of making certain that these are approved by the planning commission?
Since I've been here, since 2009, yes, sir. And, you know, we work hand in hand with the Register of Deeds office, with this, and it's kind of a tricky relationship because legally, if someone takes a deed up to the registrar's office and it meets all his requirements, even he or she's requirements in Overton County, her requirements, if it meets all the requirements legally, they have to record it, even if it's under 5 acres. Now, what you would hope that your registrar would do would tell you, you know, that you, after they record it, they would say, hey, I just want you to know, you must take this in front of the planning commission. It's law that you have to do that. Now, what a citizen will do after that is totally up to them. But things that could hurt them is that, if, say, they were ever to borrow money to build a home, you would get a clouded title for an illegal division of property. It's technically a Class C misdemeanor in the state of Tennessee to illegally record a subdivision plat. So, I mean, they're breaking the law. You know, and as you guys know, not knowing that something is a law is not an excuse for not following the law. So, again, that comes back to the Register of Deeds. Hopefully, they would say, hey, you need to get this taken care of. We'll record your deed, but you need to get this taken care of. So, to answer your question, in long form, yes, I feel like we have done a pretty good job about that. Unless they go behind our backs, and you know that can't hardly catch everybody 100% of the time. But you know, I feel like for the most part, yes, sir. So once we get this, we look it over. In the back of our subdivision regulations, there's a checklist, and on that checklist, everything is there that must be located on the subdivision plat. Great thing about this is if you submit a plat and you meet every consideration that is on this checklist that's applicable, your division's approved. No arbitrary judgments will come down on it, or not supposed to be anyway. You meet all the requirements, you're supposed to be approved. So, citizen brings it to Christian or myself. We look over it, we go down our checklist. If it meets all the requirements, then we say, okay, now it's time to bring this before the planning commission for a vote. At that point, it's supposed to be purely ceremonial, just going through the process, making sure that we haven't missed anything, and then more than likely you're going to be approved when you present that to the planning commission. So what I just wanted to do is I just wanted to go down this really quickly, and I've got 15 minutes, so I'm going to try to do this, and show you all exactly what is listed on this plat and what it means. So when you see it, you'll know what you're looking at. For those of you that have been on here for a long time, I'm sure you've got a pretty good grasp about what's on here. But it's always good to have a refresher and just to make sure that, you know, everything is.
Well, I talked to Christian this week, that I said, a lot of times when we come in with a plat, a lot of us on the committees, at time gone by, don't know exactly where that property's at. And I said, it'd be nice if all of us, Matilda shaking her head yes, could get together sometime where we're looking at flats and lot size and everything, and all of us see it. Is that legally?
If you do it by yourself.
Do it by yourself?
Yeah.
It couldn't go as a group?
No.
Okay. That's what-
No, that's violation of sunshine law.
Okay.
Another question, it says, you know, not like, number one, it's the name of the subdivision. What if it's not technically a subdivision? You just gotta, let's say you've got 3 acres and you wanna divide it into 3, because another family member's gonna build next to you and you want them to have their own lot.
Yeah.
That's not, is that a subdivision?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kelly. Technically, by state law defines a subdivision is anytime you move parcel lines and the result is less than 5
So
acres.
it wouldn't necessarily fall in that definition of what we might think of as a classic.
Correct,
subdivision.
yeah. So, I mean, like, and that the 5 acre thing, people always ask me, where does that 5 acres come from? Well, it comes from the state of Tennessee, and that's protected. So we as a commission could not say, well, we don't like that, let's make it 2 acres, or we think that's too strict, let's make it 8 acres. Can't do that, it's 5 acres. Now, subdivision regulations, and planning commissions, are not required by state law. It's an opt-in kind of issue. We, as a council, at some point decided we want to regulate how property is being divided in Livingston, and we want to have a board in place to make sure that it's being divided properly. So, yes, sir. And so, we opted into that. You know, Livingston as a city chose to do that. And so, since we chose to do that, we have to go by state guidelines as far as the definition of a subdivision. Now, other things in our regulations, we can tweak, we can massage, you know, our road standards, which are listed in our subdivision regulations. You know, they say you have to put down so much, you know, they tell you how a road is built. So it's not arbitrary, so you don't play favorites, or you don't pick and choose how a road is built. But we can be more strict than what we've got in the books, or we can be less. So we choose a lot of times, like the minimum lot size that we chose at 20,000 square feet, that could be 30, it could be 10, it could be, you know, we have some wiggle room there. But anything that is adopted by state law, it is what it is. You know, we can't move that. So, now, if there are no other questions, I'm gonna try to really quickly go through. No, it's fine. I mean, this is something we can continue at another time. I want us to be knowledgeable and make sure that we understand. So if we don't get to everything tonight, we'll pick up and come back at another time. So things that are not listed on here is the 3 things that I look at first. Is I look at lot size, road frontage, and setback lines to make sure that all 3 of those, I mean, that's the first 3 things I look at. In this instance, if you'll look on general note number 3, in the bottom left-hand corner, it will say the zoning classification is C1. So with commercial districts, we don't have a minimum lot size. So we know that these lots are okay, but let's just say for argument's sake, we want to know how big the lot is.
It's the same.
It'll say lot 1, square footage and acreage.
So if you're in the commercial zone, there's no minimum, is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Lot size?
But in residential, it's you know, usually 10,000 square feet or 75.
But if it's a residence within the commercial zone, do you treat it as residential or commercial?
I'm sure you're a commercial.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
With no-
Unless it is otherwise specified in the zoning ordinance, because if you put apartments in a commercial zone, you must go by the apartment standards that
Gotcha.
are
Right.
set forth in the book. Gina, I have an extra one
Okay.
that I'm let you look at. So,
Designates it as a C1.
yeah. Here's the lot size that we were talking about that tells you how big it is. Right there and right there. And if it's less than an acre, it usually breaks it down into how many square feet, so we can get into that. And then the road frontage, you just look at the street. This lot right here has 111 foot of road frontage. This one has 89, or, it's got some of that, but you can tell by looking at the measurements here located, like that one has 111 feet of road frontage. Yeah, it's on Taylor Street, East Main, Jackson. It's right now.
Oh, okay, for that.
I didn't bring my glasses.
And then our setbacks are determined to see where your building envelope is. So it's these little dotted lines right there. You can see them.
That's the setback required by the code.
Yes, that's correct.
And so this shows that that property is outside that.
That's correct.
So that would require an approval.
It would require, it would require a variance if the division is causing the encroachment. In this case,
It wasn't.
it wasn't, so it does not require that. These dotted lines right there, Gene, that's the setback. Y'all got yours over there?
And that shows what the setback requirement is.
These dotted
Saying
lines
that
are-
that building is just forward.
Go around the property. If it fronts the street, your setback's gonna be more. But if it's a side or a rear setback, it's gonna be this. As you can see, these in front of the road, the setback is way off. And then these on the sides and the rears are not as bad.
Are you saying setbacks is right, isn't
Yeah. They built that house before we had zoning
Right.
requirements. Yeah.
There's a lot of those, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is, and that's why, and as I was telling them, you do need a variance if you have setback encroachment, but only if your division causes the encroachment. So our division line is right here. Okay? So what we have to look at is, do these two lines cause any setback encroachments? You look here, basically you just look along the new boundary line. And if something is sticking out, it requires variance. So, right here is our new line. So you just look right there. And that woodshed, that is a non-permanent structure. So it does not require, yeah. And that's supplied by a concrete foundation. If it's on concrete foundation, permanent, it's not, it's temporary. Even if it's been there for 50 years.
Woodshed.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just right there on the yard.
Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just go down through this really quickly and kind of show you what's required. So, we'll go through with you guys. Yeah, so we'll start at the top of the checklist, and that's the name of the subdivision, which is gonna be in the lower right-hand corner, Freeman Apple Oil Company Division. Should be in bigger print than the rest. The location is going to be the address, which you'll find in the little owner block down there. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay? The next is the civil district, which is gonna be right under Freeman Apple Oil Company Division. It says 6th Civil District, if you'll see that right there. Bottom right-hand corner. You guys see that? It's hard to see. Right there. 6th Civil District. Yep.
See,
Okay? The next is the zoning district, which we've already saw. It's in the general notes on the left-hand side. Note number 3. Zoning C1. Okay? And the owner of record is going to be back where the address was, in the lower right-hand corner, there under where it says owners. And then the address and the telephone number are listed there as well. Does everybody see that? Preliminary approval granted. If you have less than 5 lots, you're not required preliminary approval, so this is not applicable in this sense. So, NA there, submitted for final approval. It says, 15 days before. We have a policy in our subdivision regulations that states it's 7, so we go by that. That's something we need to change on there anyway. So, what we'll go down to now is the drawn to a scale of 1 to 100. Does everybody see that one? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 down on the checklist.
Oh. Is it to scale? Yeah.
Right there, right there, right there. So, it's minimum 1 to 100, and if you will look at your graphic scale, which is midway up on the far right-hand side, where the black and white checkerboard is, right above it, it says your scale is 1 inch equals 50 feet. So that is greater than 1 inch equal 100, so we're okay with that. Name, address, and owner of record, subdivider, and surveyor. A lot of times, what we see is the subdivider and the owner of record are the same person, and in this case, it's the same person. So we've already established where the owner's information is. Lower right-hand corner, under the block that says owners. And then they also ask for the surveyor's information just to the right of the owner's block. Address, name, address, and telephone number. Next one is bearings of property lines. And we've already kind of talked about that a little bit when we were looking at the road frontage. Each one of these lines on this plat has a distance in front of it. So, if you're looking, You know, if you're looking here, 294 or 274.97 feet. That's where you're gonna, and it goes from point to point. So 274.97, 178.18, and it should go all the way around flat, just like that. What I was telling you
Yeah.
is these bearings go from point to point, yeah. So, yeah, with their footage, so this point to this point is gonna be 274 feet. That point to that point is 178. Okay, and if you guys will notice, it's got latitude and longitude next to it too. Right there, and right there, those are your bearings that we require. Okay, going on next to reservations, easements, or none, or other non-residential areas with notes stating their purpose. And if you'll see, there's just a very general statement number 5. Subject to any, note number 5, bottom left-hand corner, subject to any easements, rights of ways, and anything else that might pertain to that. So, moving on to the dimensions, to the nearest hundredth of a foot, we've seen that already. 178.18 to the nearest hundred. You guys see all that? You see that, Gene?
No.
I know it's hard to see through that little thing. 178.18, that is to the nearest hundredth of a foot. Okay? Yep. So the next one is lot lines, alley, and building setback lines. We don't have any alleys in this situation, so that's not applicable. Our lot lines are the bold lines that are located around the perimeter. And then we'll also have a lot line. So here's our lot line right here. And then we'll have another one, which is our dividing line. That goes through here. So you got a bold all the way around the outside. And then our dividing line goes right through there. Okay? Creates our lots. Flip over to the back page. Location and description of monuments. We have a legend midway up, right-hand side, that talks about what, it lists everything that's on the plat. And so your monuments are going to be the big black dots that go all the way around the perimeter. And it'll say, if you'll see, one says IRN, that's iron rod or iron rebar, new. And then you'll see one that says PKN, which is PK nail. I think that's what that is. Yeah, PK nail. That's what they use to establish boundaries. These rebars and these nails, they just put them in right there.
This is almost like instructions for the surveyor.
Sure. No, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
It makes it simple so there's no guesswork in it. You know exactly what you have to put on the plat. Talks about names of all adjoining property owners. You'll see right there, right side, Freeman Apple, Lynn, Wendell, Riddle. List the adjoining property owners right there. We do not require that they list the property owners across the street. Yes, that's it.
Property owner and this
Yeah,
property owner.
and it doesn't require that we do it across the street.
Oh, okay.
So it's just actually
Side of the street.
what they touch. Correct. Lines, names, and widths of all streets, which they do a pretty good job right here. Taylor Street, it says 25 foot right of way down below it. You guys see that? East Main Street, right of way varies, but it's at least 25 feet. Jamestown Highway. And if you see there, they've got that with 25 outside of it. That's from the property line to the center of the road. Yeah, it's got to be 25 feet. That's what I'm showing you. See that right there? It says 25. There's the center line. It's right down through there. All of ours have to be 25 feet from the center of the road.
All probably, or everything in the city of Lewis at 25 feet?
Yeah, well, except for existing streets. Streets that were around before, existing streets, we don't make them be 25 feet, but we fight for them too. Yeah, so there's the center line of the road right there. And it says CL, by
That's
the
the
way.
property
Huh?
line. That's the property.
Yeah.
The property line has to be a minimum of 25 feet from the center line.
Yeah, unless it's an
Yeah.
existing
Not
street.
a
Taylor Street.
structure.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, that establishes your front property line.
Right.
Distance from the center of the road. We could do a whole training session on right of way. So we're gonna try to go quicker. Lots numbered in numerical order, lot 1, lot 2. We've already talked about that. Location of sketch map. So what this does is it shows you, it's also called a vicinity map, and it shows you where exactly it is. It's in the top right-hand corner in regards to, you know, major highways, things like that. Location of identifiable floodable areas. So this lot does not have any, but if you would, general note number 2, and what it basically says, according to FEMA, this property does not lie in a flood hazard area, and they list the map and panel number. That is that 47133CO118B. So the surveyor can't just say, yeah, it's not in a floodplain. They have to show the map and panel number on there to back up their claim. Certificate of ownership and dedications in the top left-hand corner. And what that is the owner of the property, everybody who's listed on that deed must sign this plat and say, this is what I have told the surveyor to do. This is what I want. And what that's for is, in a year, the owner could come back and say, well, that's not what I wanted to be done. So you sign that plat, you're saying this is what I want to be done. If you have 20 people as a trust of an estate listed on the deed, if there's no executor, all 20 people have to sign that plat. But a lot of times they'll have an executor, and that executor does have the authority to sign on behalf of the rest of the trust. We may skip just a little bit because we're right at 5:30, but certificate of accuracy, it's one right down below the certificate of ownership and dedication.
Just real quick, so you're saying that any time a variance comes before this planning commission,
Variance is going for board zone.
I'm sorry, not a variance, but
Plat?
a division,
Yes,
we should be seeing a plat like this.
yes.
Have we already seen it?
So since I've been here.
Okay.
And the last thing we'll close with is the certificate of accuracy. So what's to say that surveyors have to tell the truth? You know, who holds them accountable? Could somebody just come in and lay a drawing at our desk, and do we know that that's accurate? That's the point of the certificate block. You know, surveyors are a profession. They have a board, a governing board, that they have to be certified. And, you know, when they sign this, they say, I swear that what I'm putting on this plat, to the best of my knowledge, is accurate. And they've got a seal that they've got to stamp on it before it gets recorded. And so we're not experts in these areas. That's why we have these certificate blocks. These folks, you know, we see the water lines and the sewer lines on there. I mean, we don't know that there's a 6-inch water line that's running, you know, that the Director of Public Works does though. And he signs this plat and says, yes, what's on here is accurate. You know, so very quick subdivision plat lesson. I hope that you've kind of you've taken some things from that, and now, if you couldn't before, you know, you can take a look at it and say, you know, I know what I'm looking at now when somebody brings this.
We'll need more help though, Tommy, I'll tell you right now.
That's very good. Good luck, thank you.
But the thing I think is important too is, you know, as a city, you said that because we're a municipality, we must abide by these standard
Yes.
codes.
We've adopted.
We adopted them.
Yes.
Just like we've adopted, you know, BZA codes and building standard codes and property maintenance codes.
Yes, sir.
For a
Accurate.
purpose, all for a purpose.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because I mean, if we didn't want to do it, we don't have to do it. We would repeal it and go on. But,
It's working pretty well.
I mean, the purpose of the subdivision regulations is to protect the property owner who's buying property, you know, and make sure that they have a lot that they can build on. So it's to keep all the secrets and the guesswork out.
And I realize you said this doesn't, the use is not a factor.
Right here.
Right, not in this.
For the most part. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, it's not a factor, because it's already existing. Yeah. The only thing that the use does is if you subdivide, the line cannot cause an encroachment from a building. When you do that, you have to come get a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals. That's all my training, sir.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, other business, any at all? We'll go right down the line. Matilda, any?
No?
Okay. Ricky Mack? Robert?
No.
Ms. Jean? Kelly?
No, sir.
Rebecca?
No.
Thank you all for bearing with me on this mistake, getting here late, and I'm sorry about that. I need a motion to adjourn, though.
I move with adjourn.
One for Rick,
I'll
Second.
second for Matilda, I believe. I heard.
I beat you.
All for? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all.